Back in my early college years, I had some stupid debates about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The 1987 manga was a bit flamboyant from the beginning, but only got crazier as the series went on. It truly hit its stride when it introduced stands, a power system with limitless possibilities. As long as you've got a song or band name and a loosely defined set of abilities, you've got yourself a stand. Stands can turn you into snails, trap you in an electrical tower, shoot bubbles, you name it. The variety of abilities given to the antagonists makes for some truly creative and off-the-wall fights. But while most clashes are dictated by logic and wit, there are some stands objectively stronger than others. There's a bit of a gap between a carnivorous fly and a horse that resets the universe. This leads, as most discussions about shonen do, to arguments about power scaling. Who could beat who in a fight? Which stands are stronger than others? Etc. But one stand that often gets overlooked is Sale's Kraftwerk. Now I've seen the stat wheel and I'm not gonna argue it's the strongest stand in JoJo. That potential score is an E.
You peaked.
You're kidding!
So it's not that it has room to grow. But I think it's one of those cases where the user can't fully realize the power at their disposal. In the hands of someone more capable, I think Kraftwerk could have gone from cannon fodder to a genuine threat. Its basic ability is to remove the kinetic energy from an object, nullifying forces acting on it and locking it in place. From there, he can continually apply force to it, building up its kinetic energy while in stasis. This allows him to fire a bullet by just tapping it continuously. If you've played Breath of the Wild, you may recognize this trick. Firing objects across the map by freezing them and hitting them continuously. He can choose to have this effect apply immediately or gradually, throwing an object into place and then keeping it there. This ability doesn't just apply to inanimate objects. In Purple Haze Feedback, Sale makes a brief return and manages to freeze someone's heart in place. When they move, it rips right out of their chest. So already he does have a one-hit kill, assuming the other person isn't able to block his blows. Note that even if an object is stopped, if a considerable amount of external force is applied afterwards, the object can still move. His own weight and the force of gravity aren't strong enough to qualify, as he's able to climb across a series of floating rocks without difficulty. However, a bullet he had stopped is able to move slightly further upon being hit by another bullet at full force. So a stand or projectile with sufficient power could provide some pushback. Also, his stand does have a pretty poor range, meaning that the effects will wear off after he gains some distance, which means he has to get pretty close to hit you in the first place. So, decently strong. Being so limited by distance means he's disadvantaged if you're better at close range combat. That's no easy feat though, considering his stand has an A in both strength and speed. Unless you have an ability that's like instant death to anyone within 10 meters, a skillful fighter could do some real damage with a stand like that. Sale loses, in my opinion, because he spends the fight showing off rather than taking it seriously. Yes, he can stop bullets and maug the guy with a gun, but letting himself get shot over and over doesn't do him any favors. But hey, lots of JoJo villains are dumb. It makes it entertaining. But here's the real kicker. Something that always bothered me, that I brought up to my friends in debates as a golden loophole. Granted, they told me to shut up and that I was stupid. But I have a YouTube channel now, so I get paid to be stupid. What does it mean to truly lock something in its position? If you stand still, from your frame of reference, you've stopped moving. But all our lives, we never stop moving. The Earth rotates at a speed of around 1,670 kilometers per hour. Sure, that's measured at the equator, but assume that no matter where you are, you're moving at this speed with the Earth. It's like being in a moving car. Because you're both moving at the same speed, there's no feeling of acceleration, no relative movement. The same speed in the same direction. But if you were to stop, suddenly locked into one place, from the perspective of everyone else, you'd go flying backwards at a rate of hundreds of meters per second. And remember, no other major force is acting upon you, as gravity is considered negligible. But wait, there's more. This assumes that the Earth stays in one place, just rotating. But it doesn't. The Earth is moving around the Sun at a pace of around 30 kilometers per second. Depending on the current angle of the Earth with respect to the Sun, if truly frozen in place, you might go flying off into space, or be shot into the ground at 3 times Earth's escape velocity. But remember, it's not that you are suddenly moving this fast. It's that Earth is moving away from you. For a second, you're just no longer a passenger. And that second is all it takes. Kraftwerk does have a very limited range, but at speeds this massive, even a moment of that instant change would be devastating. He already has the one-hit kill on you, sure, but say he needed you out of the way immediately. By the time you get out of range, you'll have been disconnected from Earth's velocity long enough to be far away from the fight. It's a bit hard to do the math here, since we don't know the precise range of Kraftwerk, nor if there's any delay before gravity takes effect. It'd be a bit of a stretch to say it could get you to space, but if the angles line up right, it would at least put you up high enough that you'd be hard-pressed to not go splat on the way down. And technically, he doesn't even need to hit you directly. As long as you're touching an object that Kraftwerk is affecting, Sale can extend its effects to you. Mista grabbed the handle of a truck that Sale was on, and his hand became frozen in place. It's a bit unclear how much of Mista's body could have been frozen here, but even if it's just the hand, it would suck to have your fingers go flying off at escape velocity. You may also claim it's a stretch for Kraftwerk to do any of this, but it's not unfounded to say that relative velocity plays into the abilities. Sale stops bullets in midair while standing on top of a moving truck. The bullets are motionless relative to him, but they're still moving with the truck, because that's Sale's frame of reference. Right after this, he freezes the rocks in place with no motion, which is proof that Kraftwerk has some degree of control over the relative motion of objects it freezes, whether consciously or unconsciously. I believe that if Sale, or a smarter stand user, understood the concept of relative velocity and Earth's natural motion, they could use it to send objects or enemies flying off into the distance, as well as use its superior speed and strength for quick and effective kills. Unfortunately, like many stands in the series, it's held back by its user's intelligence, or lack thereof. Maybe I am stupid, and there's some glaring flaw in my physics knowledge that tears this theory apart. But the idea came to mind the other day, so I had to sit down and put my thoughts to video. Feel free to let me know if I missed anything, or if you have anything else like this you'd want me to cover. If you liked the video, maybe even leave a like and subscribe. Happy holidays!